Hey YouTube, trying to get through the rest of these parts of this spreadsheet. There's just a lot of information, and I know it's not what you're looking for on my site because my views have gone down a lot, which really doesn't make a whole bit of difference. But the point is I wanted to add overhead and the cost of acquiring logs. But before I do that, I want to answer a question that popped up on the channel last night, and I'm answering the question slightly different than what it was asked. One of the questions was, would not a logger have more than one chainsaw? Now, that's a good question. However, the question doesn't really pertain to my spreadsheet. However, I thought to myself, well, if you have two chainsaws and you have one logger, you can only have one saw running at a time. Let's face it, a logger can only use one chainsaw. So there's a number of ways you can pay for that saw. First of all, under chainsaw here, let me just explain this to you. If over in here you spend, let's say, double this number for chainsaws, and you have two chainsaws, the thing is if you use one chainsaw for 4 hours and then you use another chainsaw for 4 hours, say you have a bigger saw to cut the tree down and maybe you use a smaller one to delimit, the point is that this cost here is for an 8-hour day of a chainsaw. So basically, as long as this $550 covers the price of each saw individually, you're still covering yourself. Now that's one way. Now if you have more chainsaws, you can put depreciation here to add up to more saws to help you get paid for. But let me show you a more fair way to look at this. If you look at what I have in the green here, instead of putting the chainsaw under machinery, what you want to do is have a category that would be considered something that would cover a bunch of tools. So like I had said at the beginning of one of the videos, a chainsaw is really not to be put under machinery. I only put it there to give you an idea of how you account for machinery. But technically, this is how you would account for small tools. You would have something called like a toolbox. Okay, and I had different words for that when I was in business as far as how I would handle this stuff. But nonetheless, under toolbox, you would put the price of a toolbox. Let's say you have a toolbox on the back of a pickup truck and it's $300. Well, you break that down by the hour, by the month, by the week, and then you have this hourly number for the toolbox. And then you have the chainsaw. You can put a chainsaw in here. Just put the $550. Now this doesn't pay for the gas for the chainsaw. That's where the other section comes in, where the chainsaw is written out under machinery. But here you have the chainsaw being paid for. Small mechanics tool set, that could be like a small ratchet set or whatever. 50-foot chain, a cable, an axe, hatchet, safety gear, cell phone. Yes, cell phone. So if you have a $1,200 a month, or I mean a year payment on a cell phone, okay, $1,200 a year, you can break that down into the hour, and it costs you 58 cents an hour to have a cell phone. All of these things could be added to either a toolbox, or they could be truck accessories. You could call the work package and include all this. Now there's a lot of stuff missing on here, okay? I'm leaving it up to you guys to use your own head and your own brain to figure out what should be in here. So let's say things like gas cans. If you have a couple of gas cans and you have a couple of oil cans, you want to put them in here so that they get paid for. Because gas cans and oil cans get tossed around and things like that, and you end up with nothing there. Now what I used to do in my business is I would put a toolbox set in the truck and they would have everything they needed. Now for building, I had saws, sawzall, and all kind of miter saws and everything else. Now in order to not get ripped off, I would have the guy who ran the truck or the whole crew sign off on that list of stuff. And it was my standard operating procedure that when I or whoever I had do an inventory on the truck, maybe twice a year. Whatever was missing, I divided it out and took it out of their pay. Now, you may think that that's, oh, well, I don't go for that. I don't care whether people go for it or not. I'm not paying twice for something that I paid for the first time. So I make the people pay for it once I buy it. Now, if it wears out, that's a different story. If you broke an axe handle in half, all you had to do was bring the axe and the head into the shop. We'll give you a new axe. It don't cost you a dime, and we'll take care of the old one. Okay? It's just now chainsaws. If you brought the chainsaw into the shop and somebody drove over it with the pickup truck, there were some things to pay there. That was we needed to talk about this, because $500 for somebody who's not watching where they're backing up. There's no such thing as an accident. What you got to do is realize that accidents happen because people are not alert. But anyway, getting away from that, this is how you would put that down. So no matter what you would put in your toolbox, all of it, every single thing that's down there, right down to the screwdriver or pencils, I don't care, you write them in there and you charge for them. Because if you don't charge for them, who's paying for it? Are you going to pay for it out of your paycheck? Going to make your kids pay for it? I know I'm not paying for it. I paid once. I'm not paying a second time. And this is how you charge for it. Anybody who does mechanic work with a roving truck knows to do these kind of things. And if you don't, you should be. But anyway, I put cell phone in here so you would understand how that goes in there. Okay, so then I want to go to the acquisition of logs. And what I have here, and they call this stumpage to get the logs. I have a price. Now you got to remember, we're working with one logger here under this setup that I have. Okay, this particular setup. I'm expecting the guy to cut a minimum of 3 16-inch trees. It's over here, 16-inch diameter trees in an hour, and then to cut them up into 8-foot lengths, because 8-footers is what I want. Okay, so if I divide this out by weight, I come up with $45 a ton. And what you're looking at is a red oak 16-inch tree is about 2,000 pounds for 8 feet of it roughly. Okay, now this is a rough number, but I can take that $45 and break that down hourly, because it's $45 a ton. Each tree, each 8-foot section is a ton. So 3 times 45 gives me $135. And then I take that, and if he does the 3 trees a day, or I mean an hour, then we have $5,400 a week that I have to pay for logs, $23,000 a month, and $280,000 annually to get logs. Now, you guys who are telling me on the YouTube, oh, I get my logs for free and stuff, that's fine and dandy. Then all that's gravy for you. I'm writing it out here as if you actually had to do all the things that you would do if you were in the lumber business. Okay? And this is how you would track this stuff. So when we get to the bottom of our page now, with adding in the toolbox and all the little tools, the acquisition of the stumpage, we're looking down here now at $346 an hour that it costs the owner of this company to operate. Okay, now when you add your profit to that, you're looking at a profit of $86 an hour, gross profit, and it comes to $432 an hour that you need to charge in order to be able to pay for this stuff. Okay, this is the money that you're going to spend every hour to be able to make this business run according to how I have it laid out. Now, I'm going to change all of this and make this a lot easier for somebody who would maybe be just having the LT15 without all this operation. A lot less log acquisition and stuff, but I'll make that spreadsheet later. For now, this is covering everything from the small guy to the biggest of companies. These are the things that you need to keep track of. All right, so like I say, we're up to $1.35 a board foot, which at 320 board feet an hour, this does not pay. Now, I had gotten a comment last night about something where the guy said that cutting framing lumber doesn't pay with an LT15. Well, I'm going to beg to differ on that, because you can make framing lumber pay for itself. You just got to know how to do it. And what it is it's a matter of breaking these numbers down and working with that. Because there's a lot of people that do not have access to hardwood. They have access to softwood. And if softwood's all you have to work with, what are you going to do? Throw it away? You got to do what you can with it. So in order to work with it, you need to get this number down to something that's a fair market price, which you can. At this $1.35 a board foot, believe me, red oak is still a lot more than what that's costing. So you can imagine what some of these logging companies are making who are working with hardwoods. But hardwood doesn't sell as quick as softwood does either. I mean, there's millions of board feet cut by Georgia Pacific every day of softwood. Not hardwood, softwood. So if they can make money at it, I'm certain that we can, in a smaller scale. So anyway, but the other thing that one of the comments said was that they sold, live edge lumber to different people to make furniture and stuff and made big bucks with it. Absolutely, go after that. The thing is here, and I said it before in one of my other videos, we're not just talking about cutting up boards, regular lumber boards. That's what I like. But that doesn't mean that that's all I would do. I have a whole skid of live edge lumber cut, red oak. I have planed lumber cut. I have dried lumber. I have lumber drying. I have as much stuff as I can. I have 2-inch, 3-inch, and even 4-inch stuff, depending upon what type of wood it is, because a lot of it is hard to handle. Yeah, you have to go after whatever you can go after. And if you have a market in your area for people that want that type of different types of wood to be able to make furniture, and they'll pay for that, for the nice grain and all, then by all means have some of it laid out somewhere. Make sure you can see the grain nicely. There was a video on there about sanding it off with a sander I saw. Whatever you have to do to make the grain look nice is what I would do. But anyway, that's not the purpose of these couple videos. This series of videos is all about the money. It's how you stop yourself from going broke. And even if you were to sell, let's say you sold these live edge boards for $16 a board foot. Yeah, that's good money, no doubt about it. But $16 a board foot only covers 16 hours worth of work. So the point is how are you going to do this for a whole year? Are you saying, if you're saying that you can sell live edge lumber every day and make that kind of money, 16 bucks a board foot, then great, that's good, do that. But if you can't sell that every day, I'm asking you, what are you using for food money on the days that you don't sell those things? This is what I'm trying to solve the problem of. I'm trying to make it so that the logger works full-time, the skidder guy works full-time, the truck driver works full-time. This is what I want. If I'm going to go into it, I don't want to go into it as a part-time operation. I want to do it as a full-time, let it pay for itself and let it pay me to do it. That's what I'm after. Now, like I say, I'm going to change this spreadsheet over the weekend. I'm going to work on something much smaller, where maybe the logger only works 2 hours a day, cuts a couple trees down, and goes from there. And I'll show you what you can do with that and how you can manipulate this spreadsheet. And guys, keep in mind, I've already gotten a couple of emails for people who want the spreadsheet when it's finished. So if you're interested and you want something in particular addressed, a certain situation, leave it in the comments. I'd be happy to answer your question. And then I'll send it'll help everybody, and then I'll be able to send a fairly complete spreadsheet to whoever is asking for them or whoever would like to have one. So I was out today shopping. Thank God I was shopping at a tool store, so I feel much happier than I was the other day shopping for food. But nonetheless, I'm going to stop this video here now. It'll be a little shorter than usual, but just take a look at this, for the stumpage and realize what I did there. Again, I'm going to just say, I'm looking at my logger cutting 3 trees okay, getting 8-foot logs out of there, 3 8-foot logs out of each 16-inch tree. Breaks it down to $45 a ton because each 8-foot log, 16 inches in diameter of red oak now is about a ton. So at $45 a ton, and the reason I came up with this $45 is it appears to be some sort of average, especially in the Northeast, for a stumpage for that type of wood. So you're basically looking at, you know, $50. I don't know, I tried to go for the whole tree for $50 a tree if I could. But this is basically what it should come out to for a fair price. A lot of money though here to buy logs. $280,000. You're looking at more than $250,000 to keep this operation going. Excuse me. So with these great big numbers, I don't want to scare anybody away who's, you know, buying the small LT15, or even if you have a bigger mill, you can still use a lot of these numbers. So I'm going to break this down to something that an LT15 could do. An LT15 operator, that size mill, could do without putting overstrain on anybody or anything. So maybe we'll break it down to what it would be like for the owner to do multiple jobs. And you should get paid for all your work, no matter what you do. Alright guys, thanks for all your comments. I really do appreciate them. One of the other things I wanted to say, now this is becoming a big business here. If you look at it, you're talking gross receipts here of $719,000. It's $750,000 almost, and you know, you need to realize just how much things start to cost you after a while. So I will work on a different, smaller way of doing this so that it can be more useful to a small mill operator. But nonetheless, if you have a little bit bigger of an operation, or if you'd like to see this particular spreadsheet and when it's finished, let me know. The only thing I need to do is add overhead to this yet, and I think I'll be close enough to what it should actually be. So guys, have a good one. Have a good weekend. And I'll work on that smaller spreadsheet over the weekend and see if I can't get that up. I got to get some milling done myself. The weather's been bad here. It's warm, but everything is a muddy mess, and it's been raining almost every day. So, alright, I'll talk to you later. Bye.